What is Sexual Capital examines how sexuality has become deeply connected to economics, class, and personal success in contemporary neoliberal society. The authors argue that sex and sexuality can function as a form of capital, much like money, education, or social connections. However, sexual capital is not simply about physical attractiveness or prostitution. It refers to the ways sexual confidence, experiences, and self perception can produce social and economic advantages. The book begins by explaining the sociological meaning of capital. Drawing on the theories of Bourdieu, the authors argue that societies distribute resources unevenly. Just as cultural knowledge and elite tastes help upper class individuals succeed, sexuality can also become a resource that individuals invest in and convert into social advantages. Sexuality is therefore not merely a private or biological matter, it is shaped by institutions, markets, and class structures. Kaplan and Illouz criticize earlier theories of sexuality and capitalism. They reject the idea that erotic capital is simply women using beauty or charm to gain benefits from men. They also move beyond arguments that focus only on the commercialization of sex or legal sexual rights. Their central claim is more radical. Under neoliberal capitalism, even private sexual feelings and experiences become economically useful. Modern societies encourage individuals to treat themselves as entrepreneurial projects, constantly improving their confidence, creativity, and emotional flexibility. Sexual experiences become one way of producing these desirable qualities. The authors trace this transformation historically. In traditional societies, sex was tightly controlled by religion, marriage, and reproduction. Modernity gradually separated sexuality from these institutions, turning sex into an independent sphere associated with pleasure, freedom, and individuality. The sexual revolution expanded the idea that sexual fulfillment was central to personal identity. However, neoliberalism transformed this freedom into a new form of self investment. Sexual freedom often means cultivating oneself as a competitive and desirable individual. A major contribution of the book is its classification of four forms of sexual capital. The first is sexual capital by default, where women's chastity and virginity functioned as resources in traditional marriage systems. The second is sexual capital as bodily surplus, represented by prostitution and sex work, where sexuality becomes a direct commodity exchange for money. The third is embodied sexual capital, which involves attractiveness, style, sexual confidence, and desirability in social sexual fields such as dating apps, nightlife, and social networks. This form of capital is heavily shaped by class because standards of acceptable sexiness differ between social groups. The fourth and most important category is neoliberal sexual capital. This refers to the psychological benefits gained from a satisfying and adventurous sexual life. Sexual experiences can increase self esteem, confidence, adaptability, and social skills, qualities highly valued in contemporary labor markets. In this sense, sexuality becomes indirectly tied to employability and professional success. The authors argue that middle class individuals are especially capable of converting sexual experiences into confidence and social mobility because their upbringing encourages self development, experimentation, and personal freedom. The book concludes that sexuality has become central to the reproduction of class inequality in neoliberal societies. Sexual capital is not simply about attractiveness or pleasure, it is about how intimate experiences generate emotional and psychological resources that modern economies increasingly demand. The work demonstrates how power, class, body, and economic systems intersect in the most private dimensions of human life.